Today we are exploring the 10 most hated missions in Red Dead Redemption 2 by players due to various reasons. Kicking off our list, a mission everybody hates. Few characters in gaming are as easy to hate as Micah Bell, so a mission that forces you to rescue him from jail is already a tough pill to swallow. Arthur writes to Strawberry to break Micah out, and what follows is a perfect storm of frustration. The mission itself is competently built. The hatred is not mechanical, it is moral. And it is the clearest example on this list of missions players despise for reasons that have nothing to do with design quality. Micah refuses to leave without his revolvers. Retrieving them means shooting through a substantial portion of the town. You are dragged along in his wake, forced into a massive firefight you did not start. The player loses honor for it, and the player is doing all of it to preserve the life of a man who will eventually destroy the gang, get Arthur killed, and murder Susan Grimshaw. Also, the worst part is, after the chaos, you are slapped with a crippling large bounty in West Elizabeth, all because you did a favor for a man you'd rather have left to hang. It feels incredibly unfair. You do a mission you hate for a character you hate, and you are the one left with the bill. There are two kinds of rage quits. One from frustrating gameplay and another from missions that feels morally wrong. The debt collection missions are the pinnacle of the latter, forcing players into a role many came to despise. Throughout the game, Arthur is sent to collect debts from poor, desperate people. These aren't outlaws, they are ugly encounters where you act as a loan shark's enforcer. One example is Mr. Rube, a Polish immigrant. Arthur beats him and steals his money in his own house. There's no version of this encounter where the player feels good about it. And if you really felt good while playing this mission, you are a miserable person. The absolute lowest point is being sent to collect from Thomas Downs, a sick farmer who clearly cannot pay. The mission gives you no choice but to threaten and beat the dying man, who, in the struggle, coughs blood directly into Arthur's face, the moment that seals his fate. Players described returning to these missions with genuine reluctance, not because they are difficult, because they are unpleasant, repetitive, and the player is the one doing it. The game offers no way to refuse. This next mission has become legendary in RDR 2 community, and not for a good reason. It starts with John Marston asking for Arthur's help to rustle a flock of sheep. It should be acknowledged that the conversation between Arthur and John during the drive is one of the most important exchanges in the game. But the herding itself is where the mission earns its reputation. For what feels like an eternity, your only job is to guide a flock of dumb sheep toward Valentine. The flock must be driven from behind at low speed. Moving too fast scatters or kills the animal. At least one sheep will constantly break from the group and require retrieval. The player has no direct control over any of it. However, the second half compensates. Cornwall's men surround the saloon and the mission becomes a full running gunfight across Valentine. But for many players, the damage is already done. The true rage quit moment isn't in the heat of the battle. It is the quiet frustration of watching a single sheep get stuck on a fence for maybe, 2 or 3 times, making you question every life choice that led you to this point. This chapter 3 mission is hated not for its difficulty but for how pointless and narratively frustrating it feels. Micah Bell arranges a peace meeting between Dutch and Colm O'Driscoll. Everyone involved understands it's likely a trap, but they attend anyway. It is a trap. Arthur is captured, tortured by O'Driscolls, and eventually manages a brutal escape. But the real frustration is in after this traumatic event. The main story just moves on. It's barely mentioned by the gang, and it has no immediate impact on the plot, making players wonder why they were forced through such a grim sequence, only for it to be seemingly forgotten moments later. Now, this mission combines the romance of the Greys and Braithwaites with a women's suffrage rally. Arthur is roped in to help him Beau Grey protect his love, Penelope Braithwaite, as she leads a protest through the street of Rhodes. The problem is, your job is to drive their wagon slowly, very, very slowly. There's a brief confrontation with Beau's cousins. Otherwise, the player drives a wagon in a straight line, while two characters who exist almost entirely outside the main story. The suffrage material is historically interesting and it deserved better treatment. As a mission, it has no failure pressure, no meaningful decision, and no consequence for the gang. This mission is doing important work. It is the player's introduction to Saint-Denis, and the game decides to welcome Arthur with a pickpocket chase. After a street urchin snatches your satchel, you are forced into a scripted pursuit through the city's streets and alleys. Arthur Morgan controls like a heavy man in a heavy coat because that is the deliberate design of the entire mission. That annoying kid taunts the player throughout, which is intentional and effective at generating frustration. It is way more frustrating when you are attempting the gold medal. This is one of my first attempt in this mission. Just have a look.
He's coming after us! You get that back!
As you can see, the game clearly doesn't want you to get the gold medal, and that's why this mission is hated by many players. This isn't a rage quit born from boredom or tedious design. The Saint-Denis bank heist is the mission where the Vandalin gang's dream finally and irrevocably dies. Everything that can go wrong does. The plan collapses almost immediately as the Pinkertons ambush the gang. Agent Milton executes Hosea, and in the chaos that follows, Lenny, one of the most likable young members, is gunned down. John is arrested and the survivors are forced to flee the country. The mission itself is a masterfully crafted sequence of failure and heartbreak. You aren't meant to win. You are meant to watch everything fall apart. The frustration here comes from the devastating scripted loss of characters you have grown to care about, marking the true beginning of the end of the gang. So I would say hated is the wrong word for this one. Avoided is the right one. After the disastrous bank heist, Arthur and few others wash ashore on a tropical island. And the first mission of Chapter 5, and it is the most consistently named mission in every worst of discussion online. The reason given is always the same, and it's not complicated. The player holds forward. The game instructs them to continue walking. That's the whole mission. For many players, this entire chapter felt like a rage quit waiting to happen, because the moment you land on Guarma, the game strips you from your horse, your money, and your entire arsenal of customized weapon. So for me, and also for many other players, it felt like the game they loved was suddenly replaced by a different, much more restrictive one. After the sad ending of Arthur Morgan's story, you start playing as John Master, as he tries to build a new life. And what does this new life involve? Chores. So many chores. In this mission, John is working at Proghorn Ranch, learning how to do basic farm work. The problem is placement. This arrives directly after the most emotionally devastating sequence in the entire franchise. Players who have just watched Arthur Morgan die are handed a chore list. You just finished a story full of danger, life, death, and all of a sudden you are stuck in a slow lesson on how to milk a cow and shovel manure. Even though it is important for the story to show John struggling to get used to a normal life, the gameplay itself just slows everything way down. For players excited to get back to the action of the Wild West, being forced to do boring farm work feels more like a punishment. Our next entry is not just a mission, but a huge test of patience that haunts players who want to complete everything. In Chapter 4, Arthur can meet the strange fashion designer Algernon Wasp, who tasks him with collecting exotic items. This sounds simple, but it quickly turns into the most infamous fetch quest in the entire game. So what's the problem? The shopping list from hell. Algernon needs a massive number of rare bird plumes, gate eggs, and nearly every type of orchid under the sun. We are talking about dozens of items, many of which are known for rarely appearing and can only be found in specific areas. It's a grind that can take dozens of real-world hours, turning an immersing cowboy adventure into a joyless job. This is the longest running item request in the entire game. It's not difficult, it's not dangerous, but it just converts one of the game's best written side characters into a checklist. So yeah, that's my take on the most hated missions in Red Dead Redemption 2, and these aren't just my opinions. I have carefully considered your opinions as well on my Facebook page and also in my community posts. And if you love this video, please subscribe and don't forget to follow me on Facebook. Thank you.